We set for the conversation, better late than never, they do say. But of course, we're here, and my surveyors are here as we transverse through the surveying world in order to attract you and also make you understand best practices with that particular profession. The benchmark comes to you every Fridays from 10:15 through 11 o'clock, and we are set for another adventure. You're welcome. My name is Victor Oteri. Today on the program, we're going to be reflecting through what surveyors do at construction sites and engineering operations, right? So anytime you see them at site, what are the things that they do? Right, but first off, let's get back to the roads. Repair of the damaged expansion joint at Ifako Bridge is ongoing at the moment by men of the construction company, talking about Buildwell Construction Company. And the result of that is that we have a build-up, all right, that's generated beyond Bagada Bridge. Likewise for Olokpomeji, men are on ground doing the needful, talking about traffic managers too. So that's what you have this morning. It's pretty slow. Those of you making use of that corridor, trying to connect with the Third Milan Bridge, or perhaps making that journey towards this end, you're having it slow as a result of that. All right, then, so more helpings will come. But right now, let's tilt the conversation towards the world of surveying. And my guests are here as usual. All right, so let me bring straight to the microphone. First off, Surveyor Ogonna Roberts. He's a member Nigerian Institution of Surveying. Of Surveyors rather, and he's also the Publicity Secretary of Association of Private Practicing Surveyors of Nigeria, Lagos State Branch. Agu Roberts, nice to have you in the building. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Victor. It's good to be here again.
And making his first entry on the program today, Surveyor Collins Amarino Othoigbe. Of course, he's also a member of the Nigerian Institution of Surveyors, and he is also the internal auditor for APPSN Lagos State Branch. All right, so Surveyor Amarino, it's nice to have you in the studios. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
All right, it's your first time. Here. It's your first time of being in these studios, right?
Yes.
What do you make? What do you make of our studios?
Even before coming inside, your program has been laudable. The things you do, the information you pass across, then coming inside here today, I think it's quite an opportunity, and I really appreciate the fact that I'm here to see you live. Thank you.
We appreciate you for coming too. Thank you for being here. All right, so Surveyor Ogonna Roberts, last week I was absent, but of course, from where I was actually listening to that particular topic of subsidence, yes, and the roles it plays. Really, and I think I learned a whole lot on those kind of issues, because we know there's so many buildings that are sinking.
Yes.
And people do not really have an idea that these buildings are sinking.
Yes.
So for points of emphasis and for refreshment, though, so when buildings are sinking, how can people detect that, and what should they do? Quickly.
Okay, so once a building is sinking, like we said last week, at the point where where it begins to settle, it may not be visible to the eyes. You may not even notice it. By the time you begin to notice it, it has already sunk to a great extent. That's when you now start noticing cracks, and then you now start noticing uneven surfaces or a slope. Maybe you're in one of the rooms, and then you notice that you're trying to get to the door, and it's like you're almost falling over. That's to tell you that the structure has tilted. By the time it gets to that point, a lot has already gone down.
Can it be remedied?
Yes, a building that has already deformed by way of subsidence can be remedied, and that's where the structural engineers come in.
Okay.
Yes.
So structural engineers will come in.
Yes,
and then
they have the techniques to remedy that building. It is
so
only when
it doesn't collapse.
Yes, it is only when the deformation has gone beyond remedy that you are advised to pull down.
All right. Okay, but we have instances where, some of the things that could lead to that. Maybe somebody builds a house, it's just one floor, and he has put a foundation of one floor, and all of a sudden, he now begins to think that, well, I think I have money now. Let me just put another floor on top, and then another one. Could that lead to subsidence as well?
Yes, definitely. You remember we said that when part of the things that lead to subsidence is when there is an overload on the carrying capacity of the earth beneath. So when you put up, it's just like when you put a bag of cement on a 5-year-old child to carry.
Wow.
Because his skeletal structure is not strong enough to carry 50 kg.
Wow.
You know, what happens is that he may succeed in not crumbling immediately, But if he does that over time, you might discover some structural defects, either in his neck or in his legs or something, or at times the neck might even snap and break.
That could happen.
Yes.
So, Amarino, you've seen those kind of scenarios before now, right?
Yes, I have seen a couple of times. But beyond that, there are things that happen. Everything has expiring time.
Okay.
So if you look at the buildings that were constructed in the then days, in the colonial days, what they did, the construction process of all of those things are the formations, the skeletal structures are intact. The size, the shape, the angles and everything. So one of those things that causes it is the verticality of those structures.
Okay.
So, but today, with advent of things, there are what they call the cubes. They treat cubes. So when you have cement mixtures, the engineers will understand better, and surveyors understand this. Surveyors in the engineering space, they understand.
Okay.
When you do a mixture of cement, concrete, sharp sand, and all of that, stone dust, and all of those things, there is what they call cube, and it takes a period to cure. It's between 4 weeks and 8 weeks, depending on what they want to do. In the then days, they did all of those things, but today,
we're not patient enough.
Nobody even want to care. But structures that takes a little bit from 3 floors and above, it is expected that all things need to be done. Everything has to be checked. But because of the economy, people might not take the service of experts into consideration. So when you see all of those things, it takes a longer while before you start experiencing all of those things. So there are structures that you see, because there was a meeting that he had on air,
right,
when they're giving this when Lagos State, this program that Lagos State did for building approvals.
Yes,
I think Surveyor Adam said it's not all buildings that will be granted approval. Some will be granted demolition approval for demolition,
which is true.
So when you now look all over, there are buildings that you see that ordinarily you know, but people see these things, they just overlook it and say this is Lagos, this is Nigeria. Before long, things will happen.
Right.
So, but the same way Surveyor Robert has said, things can be done. But
to remedy
it. But in an instance where you cannot remedy it, at that point, it is advisable to bring it down for safety.
I remember, because I was listening to that program. I know that at a particular time, a particular structure, I wanted to rent a building back in the days. And then getting into that building, I could already see that if I stretched my hand up, it was touching the roof. And I was just wondering, how on earth will somebody build this kind of a structure? But I mean, from what you guys have said now, I could already decipher that definitely something must have been going on in terms of this building, going underground, sinking gradually. And before you know it, that could lead to everything coming down. Well, that's not going to be the focus of the program today. We're looking at the exploits of surveyors at construction and engineering sites. So let's even start with that. Surveyor AGWU, Ogonna, Roberts. What do surveyors do at construction sites? Are they needed?
Yes, like we always say, people would, Lagosians will need to get used to us saying these things.
Okay.
Surveyors form the bedrock of any meaningful development. Either it's in property acquisition, in home lease, or in infrastructural development. For a construction project site, the first people that get in there before the construction process begins, that's after you're done with all the pre-construction stages and all that. Even in the pre-construction stage, you still need the input of surveyors for your approvals and all that. So before you come up with your designs, you need a surveyor to come do a detailed survey, an as-built survey, as the case may be, or a topographical survey. Okay. This is what forms the basis for architectural and structural designs.
That survey?
Yes. The survey that the surveyor produces forms the basis for architectural, structural designs, and even planning.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So that's first off. The survey plan is needed. At the point the surveyor has delivered the survey plan, Surveyor Amarino, after that point, you're no longer needed. Is that not the case?
Thank you for this question. Very laudable. A surveyor is needed all through the project.
Why is that so?
Now, as I said, even at the planning stage. So a surveyor comes into the site first, acquire the dimensions of the property, do a topographical survey, report that same information back to the engineer and the architect for them to carry out a design. So if it does that, because of the strength of what that structure is expected to carry, the architect, the engineer, the structurer, and they do all the design on the basis of what it's going to carry. Because the earlier discussion about building collapse, about the weight, because it was not pre-planned, it's an afterthought. That's why people go back and start constructing on top of what was not originally designed.
Right.
So now, surveyors are the custodians of locations, locational information, point informations.
Custodian of locations.
Yes, points.
How come? What do you mean by that?
If this is where I'm supposed to be, because I have a phone that is with me.
Okay.
This phone can fall into any place, any location in Lagos State.
That's right.
So, but if you want this phone to be at the exact point
That you
where
want it to
you
be.
bought, where you bought, as the exact point, it's only a surveyor that can tell you that. Because every point on earth have an XYZ information. So they are the custodians of locational information.
Okay. I love that.
So if you do all of those designs and you now go into it, everything that you want to put in that design is done by a surveyor. Because a surveyor will give you the setting out for the staircase, the setting out for the car park, the setting out for even for screening, the setting out for windows, the setting out for vents, the setting out for the slabs per floor. A surveyor does all of those things.
Okay.
So in the whole chain, after everything is being done, the surveyor still comes back to do an as-built. That as-built is more like what was designed, side by side, what is actually on ground after construction, and check all of those.
All right.
So all through the process, even if you go to even if you go to the construction of road, where you see the shoulders, because people look at shoulders on the road and say it's a waste of asphalt. But no, by design, it is meant to be there, because the road after construction doesn't really need water to, like ponding, there's no need for all of those stuff. So in all the setting out activities,
right,
side by side levels, because you cannot take all of those things out. The same way some people will go and have a building and say it is okay, because every floors has the stipulated height of window that it's supposed to have,
right,
from in the deckings.
Okay,
so all of those things are the function of surveyors.
So two things here. There is survey, which is going to be prepared by the surveyor, and then afterwards there is the as-built survey, right?
Yes.
So surveyor Agu Robert, apart from these two, I mean, wouldn't it be a waste of time if we're just to keep the surveyor at the construction site with us when we're doing the mixing of the cement, when we're doing the laying, all those technicalities that are required in building a house? Wouldn't it be a waste of time for me to keep the surveyor down?
Okay, let's look at it beyond building a house.
Okay.
Let's expand it to building anything. Either you're building a bridge, or you're
constructing
a road, or you're constructing a jetty or drainage or whatever. There's what is called dimension control in construction.
Okay.
There's what is called dimension control. Dimension control is simply controlling verticality and horizontality of all your structural elements, ensuring that structural elements that are meant to be horizontal are truly horizontal according to design, ensuring that structural elements that are meant to be vertical are truly vertical with respect to design specifications.
So are you needed there?
Yes, it is the surveyor that gives you the exact positioning. Like Surveyor Collins said, the surveyor is the custodian of all locational data. He's the custodian of all locational data, of all spatial data. Now, by spatial, it means anything that is within space.
Right.
And even out of space, yes.
Okay.
So when you come to construction, dimension control is the process where the surveyor controls the entire construction process such that structural elements are positioned where they should be.
And he's going to be doing this interaction with the engineer?
Yes, with the engineers and the builders.
The builders.
And the artisans as well.
Okay. So that means his presence is really needed at that point when construction is ongoing.
Yes. Let me even give you a very common example that we notice. You'll notice that most times when we finish building a house, and then you think the corners of your walls are straight, until when you're tiling. When you get to tiling, you now notice that you are using full boxes of tiles until you get to one corner and you now notice there is a trapezium somewhere. Yes, that's one of the things that happens when you don't deploy surveyors on projects. It's just one of those things.
So with a surveyor on ground, he'll be able to find that out appropriately.
Yes, he will be able to set out the corners accurately as they should be based on design.
Can it be corrected as well?
Well, if you had finished building and you discover that your walls are not straight and you finish roofing, if you discover that at the point of tiling, you might just have to find a way to make it a design.
Quite unfortunate.
Yes.
Lagos Traffic Radio, that is 6.1 FM. Flash update says there's a broken down Primero bus having a clutch problem, and this is at a new garage immediately after the ramp inwards or Jota. But the good news, we have traffic managers on ground doing the needful, while the driver has called for a mechanic to fix that particular faulty part. Okay, so you need to take note of that. Those of you within that corridor. Alakbara end, would you tell you there's repair works of the damaged expansion joint at Ifako Bridge is still ongoing by men of the Buildwell Construction Company, and that is having a backlog effect on motorists within that corridor. This will be coming in from Begada end. You are affected as well. All right, let's see. We can also have your input on the program this morning, 08099120777. We're looking at what surveyors do at construction sites, and you heard from both of them. It appears they are required all through before you can have a very, very smooth and seamless construction. All right, that's what he says, and that's what both of them have been able to let us know on the program this morning. So you can bring your questions on board 08099120777 and 09153877127. Surveyor Amarino, or is it Marino, right?
Amarino, yeah.
It sounds Spanish. Okay, so beyond all that you have said now, as built is there, of course the survey plan is very essential. What else will the surveyor be doing when construction was ongoing? And it doesn't matter the duration, right? If it takes 2 years, 3 years.
Yes. If you look at it, there's a point I'm trying to clarify here. The workforce of a surveyor, the team of a surveyor on a site might be 3 or 4. So in the process of construction, as you are going in phases, you are checking your milestone of how far you have constructed. Some members of the survey team might be dropped.
Okay.
To reduce the staff strength. But a surveyor must end that project. Reason being that we spoke about surveyor acquires information from the beginning. Then we spoke about as-built. Before you can have an as-built, the construction itself must have ended. Okay, let's take a look at this. We are tiling. In the course of tiling, between tiles, there are spaces. And the room that we are going to construct have its own dimensions. Everything has been factored into what the architect and the engineers has designed. So in that space, the space that will be in between tiles. Everything is being factored in calculation. So before you can do the last tiling and even the screeding, because in screeding, they give levels, they give points. That is why we spoke about some walls and some floors are undulating. It is when you want to paint that you now see it, somebody from outside. So, but a surveyor does that, and with the help of laser technology, you can do all of those things and mark them. So even the tiler, as he's doing his work, he will know. So before they leave the site, all those information they need to make their job to be very, very accurate based on the design that was given to them will be given out by a surveyor.
All right. Okay, then. I have a message here that says, good morning, Traffic Radio. I am interested in 3D laser scanning. It says, how do surveyors use this technology? Nathaniel, in sending that one, is there anything like that?
Yes, there's a 3D laser scanning, and like the name implies, it's 3-dimensional.
Okay.
Even though it goes beyond 3-dimensional. Yes, it's a 3-dimensional laser scan where the technology that is deployed has to do with light rays and then light distance and ranging. So it uses a technology that sweeps through, a particular field of interest and captures every structure, even the ones that may not be physically
available,
physically captured by the human eye because of probably your inability to multitask or focus on multiple areas at the same time.
Let's take this call. Hello there. Good morning.
Hello.
Yeah. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
on this surveyor of the thing that is being discussed.
What's your name? What's your name?
Okay, please, I have a question.
What's your name? What's your name? What's your name, please?
Hello?
What's your name?
Okay, my name is Victor Ademola.
Ademola
Akapo on the line.
Okay,
Yeah.
Ademola Akapo, go
I
ahead.
want to find out, among a lawyer and a registered surveyor, which one is best to handle the issue of certificate of occupancy document?
Certificate of occupancy document.
Okay, that's my question.
Okay, thank you so much. All right,
Yeah.
so surveyor or a lawyer, who is best to handle a certificate of occupancy documents? Surveyor Gurobot, you want to go for that?
Okay. What he has just mentioned, the process of title documentation, which leads to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy, is a bulky process.
Okay.
That involves not just one professional. There is the input of a surveyor, there is the input of a lawyer, there is the input of a town planner.
Okay.
Yes, I think primarily. So, asking who is best positioned to handle your title documentation is like asking who is a better professional of these three.
So the three of them must be involved.
The three of them must be involved.
Okay.
Yes.
So
yes.
I hope
it's a collaborative process.
Right. So I hope Mr. Ademola Akakpo, I hope that answers your question. It's hard to pass through the three of them, he says. Yes. So it's not a case of one person having to take that responsibility to be able to provide that.
But if I have to add to what Surveyor Gurobot has said, it's a function of trust.
Okay.
Because all of those offices that the process will pass through they are government establishments.
Yeah, hello.
Okay.
Even him himself.
Let's take this call. Hello there, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
All right.
It's B again.
Oh.
I called earlier.
Yeah, B, you're back.
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
So I just want to... Okay, I want to ask the surveyor in the studio. Please, what exactly is the boundary survey? Because I was hearing it.
What exactly is what?
Is it important? Boundary survey.
Oh, boundary.
Yes, survey. And why is it important in construction?
Okay, all right then. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks.
Boundary survey in construction. So, boundary survey, it's... I'm trying to understand what you actually have in mind. But like the name implies, boundary survey is a survey that delineates boundaries, that shows boundaries of any area of interest.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So if you're bringing it into the construction process, a boundary survey which we will professionally call a perimeter survey, is a survey that shows the perimeter of the area of interest. It shows the area, the boundary of the area of interest, so that you know to what extent your construction process or your construction activities will be happening, so you don't end up shooting beyond your boundaries.
So it's very, very good for delineation.
Yes, for boundary delineation.
All right. So I hope that answers your question. That's B from Ogba. This one says, good morning, Victor. I've heard of as-built surveys. Please, what are they and why are they important? Kayode is asking that question from Allen in Ikeja. As-built surveys. So, Surveyor Amarino?
Yeah, Mr. Kayode, as built, as the name implies, as it is built.
Okay.
So
that's what it simply means.
Yeah, that is what it means. But the need for it is where he's supposed to. I was believing he wants more enlightenment into.
All right.
So the as-built survey is to show you what was built. Perchance there are people that are outside this country. They now give their jobs out for building and all this construction process. Even after they see video of it, they see pictures of it, they will want to really have it as it is, compared to what design was done, what the initial plan and the design that was done initially. So as-built survey actually depict what was done based on what was designed.
Okay. All right. I hope that answers your question. 08099120777. This one says, good morning, Mr. Victor. This program is very educative. How do surveyors support large infrastructure projects like highways or bridges? Chioma from Unilag is sending that one in. So, How do you guys support that, Surveyor Robert?
Okay, so because we're an integral part of the entire process of that construction, so our support is quite invaluable.
Okay.
It's something that you cannot do without. So from the point of setting out to the point of dimension control during construction to the point of as built, and let me even add to this that one of the importance of carrying out an as-built survey is to, aside the part where it helps government and the relevant agencies to plan, it also helps you, the owner of the infrastructure, in terms of maintenance in future. Imagine that you have a building and you don't have an as-built survey and you need to carry out a maintenance. Maybe you want to restructure or you want to change certain fittings. You don't know what was installed where. You don't know where your pipings are. You don't know where your cable lines are. Even if you know where the cable lines are, you don't know what particular cable lines are in a particular portion of the building. But an as-built survey, because especially in these days when we do conduits, when we do everything conduits, wiring, plumbing, everything is now conduits. Nothing is visible on the wall. An as-built survey helps you to place every infrastructure in that building or in that structure where it should. So in terms of maintenance, you are able to pinpoint this is the exact location where this is the exact location where this is. So you don't have to start breaking all your walls while looking for a pipe.
All right. Yeah. This one says, how can surveyors help prevent those tricky legal disputes over land ownership? You didn't put your name, by the way. So is there a role that surveyors can play?
Yes, I was talking to somebody, I think it was yesterday, and we were explaining, I was trying to explain why it is necessary for you to trust your surveyor and follow your surveyor's advice, especially when it comes to property acquisition. At times we've seen cases where a person gets to site for the first time. He's the first person to appear on site, and because it's a new layout, and then the land that was sold to him is measuring 600 square meters. And because he gets to site and no other person is already on site, he now tells the surveyor, please, this line is supposed to be 20 meters. Take it to 25 meters. I'm the only one here now. There's no other person here. Take it to 25 meters. And then the other line is 50 meters. Take it to 60 meters.
Okay.
And then you do that.
That is wrong, right?
And very wrong. And you now build your house. You've done your fence covering 25 by 60 meters as against 25 by 50 meters. Forgetting that the people that sold the land to you based on a layout design. And then tomorrow they sell to somebody next to you and then give him his survey plan. And then he calls the surveyor to come and set out his structure for him. And he comes to set out his structure and discovers that you have encroached 5 meters
on his own,
into his own, leaving him with 15 meters as against 20 meters. And 5 meters is a whole lot.
Right.
And then because you decided to stretch out in front 60 meters instead of 50 meters, you have taken 10 meters out of the proposed road.
Wow.
And then you're battling with government because you have built on their road. You're battling with your neighbor because you have encroached into his property. But if you had listened to your surveyor when he told you this is where you must stop, you won't be having that issue now. And probably there's every chance that maybe your building even stretched beyond your 20 meters. You built up to 22 or 23 meters. It means that your structure has even entered into your neighbor's land.
Which is quite unfortunate. Then so flash update coming in says that the broken down 6-tire truck at Abule Taylor turning inwards the toll gate has been taken off, so it's a much better drive right now. Let's begin to wrap this up right now. Surveyor Amarino, what's the message as relates to how people should really make use of surveyors, especially now that we're talking construction? What's the message?
My message to
the listening public
would be, we have done this advocacy for a very long time and we are still doing it. So we're trying to enlighten people the more. They should imbibe the character, the attitude of engaging professionals. The need of professionals, because the need for professionals in construction cannot be overemphasized. So, but people look at the cost of the economy and all of those things. And in the long run, it's affecting the government, it's affecting the neighbors, it's affecting the community. But my advice to them is they should look into the need, because even if it's costing, why not sit at a round table and have that discussion? What to do? How am I going to go about it? Then you put the whole thing side by side and understand that the need and the importance of engaging a professional pays in the long run than just going ahead to do what you need to do. just as he has said, if that person actually listen to his advice of a surveyor, you will not encroach into the other person.
All right. And Surveyor AGWU, in 30 seconds, what's your parting thought?
Well, it is cheaper to engage a professional surveyor than not to engage one. Because it's more expensive when you run into trouble in future.
All right. For those who want to connect with APPSN, how can they do that?
Okay, you can connect with us via Facebook on Association of Private Practicing Surveyors of Nigeria, Lagos State Branch, or you can send us an email on appsnlagos20@gmail.com. Or you can walk into our secretariat. It's on Asbifi Road, adjacent Elephant House. That's the now Revenue House in the CBD area of Alausa. We are on the first floor of the Nigerian Institution of Surveyors building. And then you just ask to talk to the admin manager of the APPSN, and then you will be linked to any of us.
Okay, then we'll leave it at that for now. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so our adventure through the world of surveying this morning has been very, very fruitful, and I hope you must have learned a whole lot as relates to what surveyors do at construction and engineering sites. So take note of that. If you're going to be engaged in any form of construction or perhaps any kind of building, ensure that the surveyor is there to guide you through, and then you'll be able to have it good in terms of the longevity of that particular property. We have to go. Mike James has produced. I say a big thank you to Lydia. Lydia in the building as well. I say thank you to you. And I'm talking about... yes, I'm talking about Lydia Ojulade, right? Okay, all right. Ojualade. Wojuade. All right, Lydia, thank you. Also to Afe John. Thank you so much. He's of our social media unit. Same for Okpayemi Shodunke. Our executive producer is Tayo Akole. My name is Victor Oteri. Have a great day.